In one day of football, we got Jimmy G giving us the safety six.
Remember, Dan Orlovsky did that.
While he also ended racism, the butt punt, and Ken Dorsey losing his damn mind. The tide is rolling as the only 3-0 teams are led by former Bama QBs and Tua and Jalen Hurts, but Lamar Jackson may be the best quarterback in the NFL right now. You asked me to bring back best and worst, so I did last week, and now I need you to watch the damn thing. I'm going to shake this up a bit. Instead of trying to get through all of the games, which Tom Grossi and I recap every Monday morning on GPS, I will give out my best and worst awards each week. The best and worst game, the best and worst QB, best and worst offense/defense, best and worst stat, best and worst play, etc. So please, thumbs up the video or share these videos on the internets, or I will die. That's good sports. Today's episode is sponsored by Aura Identity Protection. America's fastest growing crime is no longer taunting in football. It's identity theft. There's a new victim every 14 seconds, which is enough time for at least 2 teams to lose in the playoffs. When I started using Aura to protect my identity, I was shocked to learn that I had 32 accounts of my passwords being compromised on the dark web. Aura is designed to protect your identity on all of your digital devices. They have an easy-to-use app that provides theft protection, fraud monitoring, a VPN, password management, which I clearly needed, and antivirus software all combined into one app. Listen, you're the star QB in your life, and not having Aura to protect your identity is like going into a football game without an offensive line. Not only will you get sacked, but another person will put on your jersey and nobody will know it's not you. Luckily, you don't need to draft or sign free agents to build your protection. Just use my link, aura.com/thatsgood, linked below to protect yourself and your family with a 14-day free trial. All right, for this week, best QB goes to one, Lamar Jackson. He could have had this honor a week ago, but the Ravens lost. This time, in a dominant win over the Patriots on the road, LaMarvelous Miss Jackson, you are for real, had 4 passing touchdowns, a rushing touchdown, and 107 rushing yards. Look, Lamar is so dominant right now that his defense literally doesn't have to send a pass rusher. This is how the NFL actually wants the game to look in 10 years. That way no QB will ever get hurt or sacked. Scratch that, Joe Burrow or Carson Wentz would still find a way to get sacked. Lamar is currently first in passing touchdowns, passer rating, and 4th in rushing yards. Worst QB? Justin Fields. In a win, the Bears produced the most team rushing yards since 1984. And Khalil Herbert is officially a beast. He had a game, a $157 and 2 TDs on the ground, which contributed to Chicago's 281 rushing yards. But damn, through 3 weeks, Justin Fields looks like he lives in the field of dreams because he's dead. 8 completions against the Texans. 10 if you count the 2 the Texans got. Just 106 passing yards for Fields. He's dead last in passing yards and completion percentage. Just 23 completions through 3 games. Cooper Rush has more in 1 start and a quarter. Best individual performance this week? I'm giving it to Falcons running back Cordero Patterson, who averaged 8.3 yards per carry on 17 attempts. 141 yards on the ground and a touchdown, and he's currently 2nd in NFL rushing. Worst individual performance? Darren Waller. The Raiders are the only 0-3 team in the NFL, and I applaud Darren Waller for honoring that number, that feat, by dropping what could have been 1, 2, 3 touchdowns, all in a single game. Best offense this week? Holy hell, the Jaguars. You little football sluts. You scored way too much for my Puritan liking. You were the highest scoring team this week with 38 points, and you beat the battered Chargers 38-10. It was the largest margin of victory this week. It was the first time you fornicated 30 plus points on the road in 2 years. Your 28-point win, biggest road victory since 2001. And I think it's the first time you won 2 games by 20 plus points in the same season since 2000. Back when Trevor Lawrence was just a ball of blonde hair in his mother's womb. Trevor Lawrence, 3 touchdowns, 0 picks. And what I love is that he spread the ball around. Tugs for Zay Jones, Christian Kirk, and Marvin Jones. James Robinson had exactly 100 rushing yards, and yeah, beat my division rival, the Chargers, you little sluts. Oh, and by the way, Doug Peterson has tied Urban Meyer in all-time wins for the Jags. It only took him 3 games. Best defense goes to the Eagles. The Eagles had 323 passing yards to Carson Wentz's -1 at some point in this game. That's hilarious, but Philly sacked Wentz 9 times. I thought I was watching Joe Burrow for the first 40 minutes. Josh Sweat, Javon Hargrave, Fletcher Cox, Hassan Reddick, Brandon Graham, TJ Edwards, you get a sack, you get a sack, you get a sack. All of Wentz's 211 passing yards were garbage time. 2 of Washington's 8 points came from a safety, which were the Commanders' first points of the game. All the way in the 4th quarter. Way to ruin a safety, Commanders. I also like the balls that the Eagles' Twitter account displayed with their troll job after this win. I think, though, that it would be fitting to hear Michael Keaton's advice for these Eagles.
And I've got 2 words that I want you all to remember. They're very important. And if I leave you with anything, I'm going to leave you with these 2 words. And those 2 words are, I'm Batman.
But are you skinny Batman or swole Batman, Michael? Best play of the week, the butt punt. I had no other choice but the butt punt. Who do we credit with the block here? The taint, the gooch, the grundle, the cheeks, the crevice, Dick Butkus. Worst play of the week? The Chiefs were close with that fake field goal attempt, but I'll go with the Buccaneers and this reverse flea flicker or whatever the hell this is. I was just happy to see a trick play not work for Tom Brady. This happens about once every 10 years, so enjoy it. Tampa will get Mike Evans back and will be better once Chris Godwin is healthy, but Leonard Fournette's inability to run the ball effectively should concern Bucs fans. Best upset? The Colts over the Chiefs. The Chiefs tried to get too cute in this game and it backfired. This failed fake field goal up by 4 points is a perplexing coaching decision. Just take the damn 3 points in close games. How many points did you lose by, Chiefs? 3? Pretty interesting though how Andy Reid, Brandon Staley, and Josh McDaniels can all make bad decisions that cost their team the game. And only Nathaniel Hackett will be treated like the dumbest fucking coach on earth. Hell, Patrick Mahomes is fighting with his offensive coordinator, but no problems there. Now the Chiefs missed a field goal on the next series, and then Matt Ryan went deep into the Jelani Woods to take the lead and get the upset win. Best stat? I wanted to give it to Clyde Edwards-Helaire for his 7 carries, 0 yards and 1 touchdown. That's genuinely impressive. Instead, though, it goes to the Seattle Seahawks, who amassed 420 yards of offense and ran exactly 69 plays in a not-so-nice loss. Worst stat? Dalvin Cook. Official stat? Worst use of a butt as he runs into his own lineman, Ezra Cleveland, fumbles, and gets hurt. Mark Sanchez finally off the hook as Dalvin Cook dislocated his shoulder on his very own butt fumble. Worst finish? The Lions. Detroit had gone 18 consecutive quarters with a touchdown. That was the longest current streak in the league. However, they needed to go 19 quarters to beat the damn Vikings. Detroit, I went all in on you, and you blew a 10-point lead in the 4th quarter. Until you learn to close out games, you might just be the Lions. Best game, Bills versus Dolphins. Now, Josh Allen threw his 100th touchdown pass early in this game. That is to be expected, though, when you throw the ball 63 times in a single game. The Bills and Dolphins are both good, but this game was an anomaly. Buffalo ran 51 more plays on offense than Miami, had the ball for 20 more minutes than Miami. In fact, Miami didn't even possess the ball for 20 minutes. Speaking of possessed, that's what this game was. The Bills faced their first 3rd and 10 or longer this season. That's crazy. Somehow a concussed Tua still bested Josh Allen, even though Josh Allen tried to rip off Christian Wilkins' head like Scorpion from Mortal Kombat because Wilkins grabbed Josh Allen's dick. That's not very Christian-like. It's more Catholic-like, if you know what I mean. Wilkins does like to do this, though, honestly, and sometimes it's just nice to be touched. Now, the Dolphins said Tua had a back injury, even though that back injury looked like a concussion. Melvin Ingram had the best karate kick since Antonio Brown, and the Bills looked like they were dying in between plays. Again, this game was possessed. I won't list all of the injuries the Bills are dealing with right now, because it's really bad. But 6th round corner Christian Benford broke his hand, and that sucks because he was balling, and he was the gem of the draft for Buffalo. Ultimately, the Bills lost this game because the Dolphins made a hell of a goal line stand, and then the Bills ran out of time on the play clock when Isaiah McKenzie couldn't get out of bounds, and they couldn't clock it on time. Has anyone pointed out the fact that Isaiah McKenzie caught the ball with 13 seconds left? Okay, well, don't tell Bills fans that, because I don't think Tua has enough time to hug them all. And the worst game of the week, the Broncos versus the 49ers. I live streamed this game, as I do for every Broncos game, and it resulted in a record-setting 2nd ever NFL game to finish with the final score of 10-11. I watched my number 2 receiver and Jerry Jeudy finish with 2 catches for 17 yards, and then chirp back at Shannon Sharp on Twitter, who told him to catch the fucking ball. Jerry answered by saying his breath stinks. Jerry, not only was Shannon Sharp better at football, he was one of the greatest trash talkers of all time. And now he does that for a living. You will put yourself on a very lonely island if you go after Shannon Sharp, Jerry. Now, the best catch in this game was made by fullback Kyle Juszczyk. When the fullback's making the best catch of the game, you know you're in for a defensive battle. This game also taught me that I don't know shit about football, because somehow this is not a first down. And somehow, this is not a touchback. And somehow, this is not tripping. Do you know how I know that is tripping? Look at that shit-eating grin on poor man TJ Watt's face. Look at Hillbilly Watt here grinning, because he got away with a trip. The Broncos became the first team, though, to win and punt 10 or more times in a game since 2016. How do you stop a superpower like that? I don't think you can. Jimmy Garoppolo's ineptitude actually helped the 49ers. Garoppolo finally freed Dan Orlovsky from the sin of being the most famous QB to accidentally run out of the back of the end zone. And Jimmy G took a huge stance against racism in the process. Handsome G one-upped him, as his team was thrilled he only took a safety, because had he not stepped out of bounds, he would have thrown a pick 6. Denver's defense is actually very good. It makes for boring football, but Pat Surtain, he allowed 0 receptions in this game. The Broncos finished with 4 sacks and a single rushing touchdown, which was good enough to get the win. But the heroes of this game, the reason everybody tuned in, the punters. 838 yards of punting. Broncos punter Corliss Waitman had 6 punts drop within the 20. Wisnowski had 3. Denver's best player on Sunday night was indeed a punter. And let me tell you, being the worst team at winning has never felt so good. Thanks for watching the best and worst of NFL Week 3 Sunday Football Recap. Enjoy Monday Night Football. Make sure you check out If the NFL Were a Cop film coming out tomorrow. And Power Rankings also up on Tuesday.